everybody. Welcome to our Research Corner. By the way, this is Vblog. Our today's episode is the different kinds of quantitative research. We have 6 types or kinds of quantitative research. Number 1, we have descriptive research. Number 2, we have correlational research. Number 3, evaluation research. Number 4, survey research. Number 5, casual comparative research. And number 6, experimental research. Now, let's start describing each part or each kind of quantitative research. Let's start with descriptive research. If we say descriptive research, you describe the nature, characteristics, or component of a specific population of a phenomena. Meaning to say, from the word describe, you describe the phenomena. You describe the nature of this kind of phenomena that you're going to research. That's why it is descriptive research. From the word describe, you describe it. There is no manipulation of the variables. Meaning to say, you just describe it. That's why, how are you going to manipulate it if the data is simply described? In this type of research, you search for the cause and effect. How is this cause and effect related to the specific phenomena? How is it, or what happened to the effect? What happened to the cause? Or meaning, what is the cause? What is the effect? This type of research deals to find out what is the general attributes of a specific situation, determining the frequency of how is it occur. You, meaning to say, you check the general attributes. What are the specific manifestation? What is the things that happening on a specific study? Of your study, from the previous study to the present study, how is it related? How is this affect the previous study? Because you describe from there, from out of the concrete evidence, you describe what is happening on the variable. You simply again describe what is within it, what is within the variable. In this type of research, you have to check what are the general attributes from the present situation. You check the general attributes of a specific situation. For example, in a specific phenomena or a specific pandemic, what are the general attributes? What are the features? Or how is this effect? How specifically give an impact to your research? What are the frequency of occurrence? How many of a specific occurring evidence that is within the research? Meaning to say, you check what is going on your research. What is the number of occurrence, the frequency. Number 1, describing the nature, characteristics, and components of the population or a phenomena. There's no manipulation of variable. Search for cause and effect related to the phenomena. Attempts to find out the general attributes of the frequency or the presently situation and determine the frequency with which it occurs. Okay, so in a descriptive type of research, we simply have this type in this simply describing. So guys, if you choose a descriptive research, you simply describe the phenomena. And how are we going to do this? From the title, be sure you put this into your question. Number 1, how many? How many are there? So, how many? How many phenomena? How many specific variable? So, you just put your variable there. How many? How many existence of a specific variable? For example, number of hours in exposure in a computer. How many number of hours of exposure in a computer of a selected students? Another thing is, what is the number? What is the level? What is the percentage? Those are the key terms in determining a descriptive type of research. If you simply say, how many percentage of IQ or students who have high average IQ? So what is the percentage of the students who have good study habits? What are the numbers of siblings in a specific town or city? Let's go to correlational research. We say correlational research, this is a systematic investigation of the relationship or the nature of the relationship. This is also something to do with the association between and among variables without necessarily investigating into a causal reason underlying them. The extent of the relationship among and between them or between the variables. If we say correlational, that's something to do with relationship, meaning there is a two relationship, one variable to another variable, or one variable to two variable, or one variable to many variable. This is a relationship between one specific variable to another variable. Aside from the relationship, we associate. From the word associate, we associate one variable to another variable. It's just like with relationship. But of course, the impact of the relationship is different from the association because you simply associate the variable to another variable, while the other one, you check what is the relationship between the two. Or the other one is the association. What is the association between these two variables? But of course, all of it is what we call correlational research. Number 3, we have the evaluation research. From the word evaluate. What's another term for evaluate? It is assess. That's why we assess the effect, the impact, the outcome of the practice, policy, or the program. What is the impact? For example, you want to imply your new program that you have been learned from a webinar, and then you impose it, you implement it, and then after implementing it, you evaluate, you assess, is it effective or not? So therefore, it is evaluation. Another thing, you check the impact. For example, you have a new methods of teaching, then you check. You get two variables, you get two population, and then you check the impact. If you have this, and then there's no new implementation of program from or teaching strategy from another one, of course there's a controlled and uncontrolled variable here. So we have to check the impact if we implement a certain program. That's why more often in the field of education, we have intervention. This type of intervention program is what we call evaluation. But you know, most of the researchers don't use it. They did not know that it is an evaluation. My God, you know it? There are lots of research out there. If you're going to read it, they are not using evaluation method, But instead, they say, it is a descriptive method. I use descriptive method. My goodness. It is not a descriptive method, guys. We say descriptive, you simply describe your variables. Here, you assess. You have a program, you implement this program, and then you check the effect, you check the impact, and then you check what is the outcome. If you check the outcome, of course, that is evaluation research. The kind of research that you use is evaluation, not descriptive. I'm watching you guys. So be careful with that. Descriptive is to describe, while evaluation you assess. You assess the impact, the effect, and the outcome of your program. You check the policy that you have been imposed. Okay? You check the practice. What are the practices? The practices in the webinar. There are lots of webinar who impose a certain policy, but they don't know what is this type of research all about. It is evaluation. More often, if you attended a seminar, they give you evaluation, and those evaluation will be an impact. That's why we say it evaluation, because you evaluate the program. So, furthermore, I just want to give you an impact on this evaluation in a webinar. If the webinar is not that good, please don't put 5. Because in an evaluation, there's a big 5, give 4. 5 if the webinar is really outstanding, if you learn a lot, if there's a big impact to you, if there's a big effect to you, okay? Because that will have a great impact to the society. Again, evaluation research. You evaluate. From the word evaluate, you assess. Another term for evaluate is assess. You assess the impact, the effect, and the outcome. Descriptive research, you simply describe. There is no manipulation of variable in descriptive. Number 4, survey research. From the word survey, we simply gathered information. Okay? So, when we gathered information, somehow, some researcher use survey because they have their goal. They have projection that I should have positive outcome. Okay? Positive result. For example, during election, we have Duterte, for example. We have a survey. Then, the other politician have a higher survey result. Then another one will conduct another research to get another result. Okay? Of course, if you say survey, the survey will not be the same in the different area. Okay? But of course, it might be. No? There's a specific goal. It might be the same, or more often, it is not the same. The same result, what I mean. Okay? Because you have to choose the respondents. During the politics, during the election time, we have survey. And if you go to the baluarte, we called it baluarte, meaning to say a politician owned this area. So that's the baluarte. Okay? Meaning there's a cluster or group of people or group of area where this specific person can have a big result in the survey. Okay? And you know, guys, some people choose survey research because they have a specific perspective. They set a specific goal. Another thing is on checking a product. Product checking or productivity. If you're going to produce or not going to produce your product. Okay? So you do the survey. So how are you going to do the survey? Of course, you check the effectivity. The effectivity of the product. Just like with another commercials, if you're going to, if you still remember, there's a brand X and brand Y. If more of the respondents choose brand Y and then that's your product, then you have to push through your product. If the X win the survey, you have to resurvey. Okay? That's why in survey research, we need to resurvey if the product or if the result is not that good. Meaning, this is not that good product. This is not that good research. Because we resurvey. Okay? Because we have a specific goal. We should have a good result. For example, you have potato chips, new potato chips, and then there is another potato chips. So you have one potato chips, the commercial potato chips, and your new potato chips. Almost need the same taste. For example, cheese flavor. Okay, another cheese flavor have more powder, while on your cheese flavor there's a powder, but it is not that sticky, but the other one's sticky. Then the participants will choose which one they're going to use or prepared. Is it A, X, or the Y? So if they have Y, then you push through your survey research. You push through, you present it to the market, or you present it to your investor that your product is perfectly in good shape. It's just like with doing your research in producing a new product. For example, in welding, we have the divider. The divider is different from the commercial divider. So, for example, the divider with light on some other parts of it. Then the commercial, you just simply have divider. So, the participant will choose either of the two. Of course, they're not going to say if the commercial is good or the new one. Okay? Of course, if the new one win, you push through your research. If the new one failed, you have to do something about it. You have to do a manipulation or modification of your research. Maybe because of the polishing. The polishing is not that good as compared to the commercial. So therefore, you have to improve your product. It's just like with with foods. Okay? But by the way, guys, if you're going to push through your research on foods, be sure you ask the experts to check your food. You go to the Food and Drug Authority, FDA, or Bureau of Food and Authority, as well as in DTI, okay, Department of Trade and Industry, I think. So as well in welding or divider or new appliances, you apply to DTI because the product will not be released in the market if you don't have an approving authority. Okay? And don't forget to patent, especially if you produce new gadgets, new device, new apparatus, new materials. Okay? So new appliances, kitchen appliances, home appliances. So if you're going to produce all of it, be sure you have a patent. The survey can be through face-to-face, through phone, through online, or even in mail. In a survey, you also check the result from a specific day. Because in a survey, there would be different from a specific time, from a specific place. If you have it or you done your survey in urban, there is a difference from urban to rural. So the result would not be the same at a specific time, at a specific place, because the survey would not be effective from the urban and would be effective on the rural. Survey research is also a collection of information on the same subject over a period of time, sometimes lasting many years, in order to study the change. Number 5, casual comparative research. This is also known as ex post facto, after the fact research. So, it derives conclusion from the observation and the manifestation that already occur in the past and now compared to the same dependent variable. Meaning, we get it from the previous going to the present. So meaning we get the items or the variables or the study from the past going to the present. That is something to do with the comparative research. Okay? It also discusses why and how a phenomena occur, because compared it from the past. That's why we have it. We have it here now, the present. From previous to the present, we compare the previous study to the present. That's why we compared it. So in a casual comparative research, we check the comparison and the contrast. An example for casual comparative research is a comparative study of a specific phenomena. For example, comparative study on health problem from urban and rural area. So we check the health problem. What is the most occurring problem in urban and in rural area? So we compared the two specific location. No? So we have the rural and then the urban. So in somehow there might be similarities, but of course in somehow there will be a big differences. So it depends on the result. If there will be a difference or there will be a commonality or the same between these two specific location. Okay. Another one is the comparison on the academic performance. If the students are good in English, they have to be good in mathematics. If the mathematics is good in English and good in English. Another comparison is a comparison study on academic performance. For example, students are good in mathematics and science, or science and mathematics. We want to check if these persons who are good in science are good in mathematics, or another way around, in English and math. If the person who are good in English are good also in mathematics, or in mathematics good in English. So a comparison between the two. One participant from two variable. We check if this is true. And there are lots of research that says that the person who are good in English are also good in mathematics. But of course, not all people agreed with it. But that is true. It is already proven that there are a lots of research saying that if they are good in English, they are also good in mathematics. And you know, there is also research saying that most of male students are good in mathematics than in girls. So now, there could be another study on it. You do a study on a comparison on the gender. So the gender sensitivity will come up with this type of research. Is it true that male students are good in mathematics than a girl in mathematics? So which of these two gender have really good in mathematics? If they are good in mathematics, are they good in English? That's also another research. So you compare. If you compare two variable from another variable, that is a comparative study. So you check the comparison. You compare. You check the contrast. There might be some other researchers who will disagree on your result. Just like with my result before in my study in master's degree. The people or the students who are good in physics are not having a good study habit. Meaning they have poor study habit, but they have high achievement test. And you know, guys, the main reason of it is that they are with high intellectual quotient, meaning they have high IQ, high mental ability. And lastly, the experimental research. Experimental research deals with the tests. You test the cause and effect of the relationship under a condition controlled by the researcher. Meaning, the researcher have a control on this type of research. In experimental research, there are two specific variables. There's a controlled variable and uncontrolled variable. In this case, an effort is made to determine and impose control over all other variables except one. Except one because there is a controlled variable. If you have two or more variable, of course, you still have one controlled variable, and then the rest are uncontrolled variable. In just like with producing a medicine, for example, you want to produce a medicine or a specific medicine, so you do the testing, and then there's a controlled variable. Okay, in this. There is an independent variable which is manipulated to determine the effect on the dependent variable. An independent variable is manipulated to determine the effect on the dependent variable, meaning to say you have to manipulate your variable. Of course, there's a controlled variable. So from the controlled variable, of course, in a control, there's no manipulation. But in an uncontrolled variable, you have to manipulate it. Aside from medicine, you can also use experimental in your research. But you know, guys, it takes a lot of time in doing an experimental research. If you're going to do an experimental research, it takes 1 year or more than 1 year in studying your research. It is because you have to check the effectivity of it. And it should be a comparison from another variables. So you have many variables that is within your research. And of course, you have to check if this is applicable or not. In academic type of research, in a academe, we do experimental research. For example, is the methods of teaching or approach. You want to imply another approach. So you have to check which approach is more appropriate. If your approach is more than appropriate than another approach, then go. Meaning you have a good research. Meaning that's a good experimental research. Aside from academic, there is also another type of research. It could be, of course, if we say experimental, it is something new. It will be presented in the market, or it could be presented in the field of science, or in the field of medicine, or in genetic engineering. That's why we have a lots of new invention today, the genetic engineering. And in fact, we have the most famous one and controversial one is the cloning. So guys, let's end up this with a great smile, because you know that research is not that good or not that easy. But of course, you have to think of it. You have to check these kinds of research first before before going through to your research. And you cannot do your title without knowing what specific thing are you going to. What is the focus? What kind of research? You choose the kind of research first before going through to your research title. The DepEd conducting this type of research or this type of subject so that every school will produce a product. Just like with E. Rodriguez Vocational High School, each track have their own product. We don't allow our students to graduate without product. And this is because we want them to stand, if they finish their course, they can stand alone. They can do their business using their research. So guys, that's all for today. I hope you learn a lot from the 6 kinds of research. So let's name it one by one. Descriptive type of research, correlational research, evaluation research, survey research, casual comparative research, and experimental research. For the recap of it, let's just have some key terms. In descriptive type of research, you describe. In correlational research, you correlate one on one variable, or one or two or more variable. And then evaluation, from the word assess. We assess the impact, the effect, and the outcome. The next one is the survey. Survey gathers information. Next, casual comparative research. You compare or contrast. And lastly, the experimental research, there's a controlled variable and uncontrolled variable, meaning you can manipulate the variables. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you learn a lot from these 6 kinds of quantitative research, and hope to see you for the next episode of our practical research too. Bye-bye, guys. By the way, if you like my video, please don't forget to subscribe.